Hey, folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner. I have with me a fantastic guest, a friend, someone who I deeply respect, and he is Jeremie Kubicek. Today is your book launch day, my friend. How
Let's
happy are
go.
you?
Yes, I know. It's so fun. It's a peace day. And I've
It
just
is.
been doing this everywhere. Like, hey, peace. So to everyone who's here, peace. Let's do this. Let's get
So
into
good.
a good combo.
That's so good. Well, listen, we were even chatting before we started today that a book launch is a day where you could not have a lot of peace. In fact, there's authors that are probably watching this saying, oh my gosh, I didn't even get to enjoy my book launch day because I wasn't at peace. So, Jeremie, how big is internal peace?
Yeah, it's really funny, Carrie, because I remember the very first book that I ever had, Leadership is Dead. And I remember taking my family and we're like, let's go to Barnes and Noble. And we get there and we get the book and you're like, picture, like how many pictures can you take of a book, right? And then
Right,
you're like,
right.
oh, okay, well, let's go. That was it. And it was like a 4-minute process. And so just really, really amazing what happens to a person because you have expectations. And so what I've been doing is I've literally been going, hey, in the midst of expectations, let me get my mindset ready to
Ooh,
go,
that's
you
good.
create something for the world and the world tells you if it's good or not. But the books that I tend to write are based on myself. And I'm writing books to
Yeah.
basically help my own peace level. So the peace
Ooh,
index was really personal because it's really of like, how do I feel about my purpose? How are the people in my life? Where's my place at right now? What's my personal health like? What's the provision like? And understanding all of those facets affect the level of peace. So for all of you listening, all of you here, I'm super excited to encourage and just be with you today and really hopefully take your peace levels to the next level.
it's so good. And I'm going to be sharing this, and a lot of people are sharing this. We have Rachel as well. Lots of your coaches are going to be jumping in, watching the replay as well. But you've been on a peace tour. And I want people to realize, like, people are here for different reasons. Honestly, some people are here, Jeremie, and I don't mean this wrong, but I mean, there's people who are like, how is this guy so good at launching his book? Because they've been following you on social media. Are you on like day 20 of the Peace Tour? And what is the Peace Tour?
Yeah. So the idea is that anywhere you go, you can bring peace. And to me, I want to change what people think of peace. People think of peace as world peace most of the time. When I think of peace, I think of power. And so the idea is that someone who's a peacemaker who brings peace, actually the term is has iron legs. They have the ability to walk upstream in the midst of chaos. And I've spent so much time counseling and coaching and serving leaders around the globe for a long time. And everywhere I'm with, most of them don't have peace. They have some element in their life that's just off. And so peacemakers have power to deal with chaos. They help people conquer chaos, find fulfillment without it being cheesy, without it being, pie in the sky, practically. And so what I try to do wherever I go, so I've been in DC. I'm about to go to Dallas. I've just been in Fort Worth last week. I've got Austin. I've got Atlanta. I've got a number of these. And what I'm trying to do is I'm basically trying to link arms with other people to help them find peace and conquer their chaos in themselves
Ooh,
so
that's
that
good.
they're healthy enough to help other people.
That's so good. I remember a time in my life, Jeremie, when I was in the wrong job. Okay. And I know this sounds a little crazy, but I just knew I was in the wrong job. I felt like something felt off. And I remember you could say that I was at war with myself. I really was. And that bled over into impatience as a dad, frustration in my marriage. Talk about that. Like how, if we're not right and at peace with ourselves, it just affects everything.
Yeah. So if you think about what vibes you put off, like what's it like to be on the other side of you? So
Mm.
if you're allowing external chaos, either global chaos or local issues or things close to you, if you're allowing it to actually affect your peace level, then you're going to affect the level of peace in someone else.
Ooh,
And
that's
so the idea then is you can't give what you don't possess, or
mm,
you do give. You can pass on negatives, you can pass on positives. And so the idea then is to understand what is not right and why is it not right. And I'm on a little crusade of helping people move from general whining to specific action. Like, I'm generally frustrated with, why can't we? Why don't they? I'm like,
mm,
well, wait, let's break it down. What is the dissatisfaction? What is the specific instance or issue that it is? Is it a place? Is it a person? Is it a health issue? Now we can do something with it. And so,
mm,
if you're going to find fulfillment, you actually have to go after the negative and start attacking it and start conquering that specific to control what you can control. Now, a lot of people, there's things you can't control. So, controlling what you can control is a significant step.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, we're gonna be giving away some stuff here in a moment, as well. We have some bonuses that we're gonna talk about. First of all, do you have some kind of assessment going on?
I do. So the idea is, if you want to understand, like, here's the context. Every single person, every one of us has a number over your head. You have one over your head.
Mm,
Kary, I have one over my head, and that level of peace can go up and down like a Wall Street ticker. It, like,
wow.
literally moves up and down, and so it's really your level of peace in any given day. It could be your child is sick, you have a flat tire, you get some news at work that really, or your spouse gets news at work and it affects you. So that number over your head is going up and down and up and down. So wouldn't you like to know what the number is? So we've created an assessment. It's basically the Peace Index assessment. It's a true test that you can take to help figure out what exactly your number is. And
Mm,
that number is predicated on, again, these numbers: purpose, people, personal health, provision, and place. And each one of them can get to 100. So it's really, maybe I'm in an 88.4 today on purpose, or maybe I'm a 65 on people, or a 70 on place, whatever it is. And so what we've done is we've basically given, and it's in your link, I believe, it's the peaceindex book.com, the
yeah, there it is.
peaceindexbook.com. That gives you a link where you can go take the assessment and then pass it on. Let other people. It's free. It's a free assessment, so you can see which number is the lowest. And it actually is fascinating, because as you take it, you realize, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how big a deal place was for me, or my purpose is off, and
This is so
no wonder I've been just frustrated. And
this is
so,
good. This is good. I'll tell you what, Jeremy, this morning I woke up, man, and I was not at peace. Okay, so just true story, I was not at peace. And I thought about this tour today and this interview, and I'm like, it actually gave me tools because a work thing happened. And again, like, work is awesome. I love my job. I love igniting souls. But there was a situation that happened. And I'll tell you what, Jeremy, I almost missed a family opportunity this morning because family opportunities come at you unplanned. And I almost missed it because I was not at peace with my job. But because you gave me those tools, I was like, hold on, wait, there's a bigger thing going on here. So talk about that. Like, is your book practical?
yeah.
Does it give us tools? I mean, because we're going to see a headline about Florida and hurricane, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, my Twitter feed this morning had nuclear weapons from Russia being spotted. And all of a sudden you can be like, whoa.
So here's the level of maturity and what I'm really trying to do with this book. I'm trying to help people become more mature. Maturity means that you develop inner peace when there is no external peace. You
Ooh,
develop inner peace amidst the chaos, which is what I talked about, the iron legs, the idea that you can move towards issues. So this concept of, like, developing inner peace when
mm,
there's nothing but chaos. So we see it all the time. I'm at right now, our CEO, Bronson Taylor, he's been in Florida, and
Okay.
he's right in the middle. It's in Bonita Springs, and he's been right in the middle of Hurricane Ian, right?
Wow.
And luckily, their house, they were fine, but like a half mile away, it was just devastation. And he's been going through over and over, and what he's realizing is the provision is going down in people,
Ooh.
and he's seeing that purpose is being affected because they're being wrecked, but the people scores are going up dramatically. So now people, even personal health is going to be an issue, right? In place for sure is going to be wrecked, but people are at a higher level. So no matter where you're at, the idea would be, how can you have inner peace when there is no external peace? And the other thing I want to say is the peace index helps you to manage your emotions so that other people don't have to manage your emotions. And that's a
So
key component for me, because I've spent most of my time managing my emotions, and I'm learning how to do that so my wife doesn't have to manage them for me. And wouldn't that be nice in every company, every organization, if we can get to the point where you don't have to be managed, where people don't have to manage you because you're secure and confident and humble, and you're not producing drama at a level. And so the peace index, when we have the highest level of sadness, Gallup there on slide 4, Gallup shows that we have the rise of sadness. There's a sadness index, and it's 28% of the population, and are literally sad, almost like to the bones. Well, you can also see the rise of antidepressants. And so in all of the mental health things, people are being drugged. They're being literally prescribed medication. And I'm like, no, actually, couldn't we actually deal with some things maybe? But most people don't have the tools. So when you don't have tools, you'll actually, you'll be prescribed things that actually causes you to be in a fog. And
Wow.
what I'm after people getting healthy and being so healthy that they can help other people get healthy. And so that's the reason that I'm pushing for a peace. You have to know why and where you're off and why you're off. And when you can do that, then you can start solving problems.
Oh, it's so good. Listen, I want people to share this. Obviously, people who are watching this saying, "Oh my gosh, my son, my daughter, my employer, my employee needs to watch this." I'd love for people to do that. Jeremie, you are a guy who, I don't know somebody who can do what you do. I mean, you write books in 18 days. You are a mental health coach, consultant for the Oklahoma University football team.
Yeah,
You
we're the performance mental advisor, which hasn't really helped since we've lost the last couple of games. But outside
hey,
of that,
hey, maybe it's helped because maybe maybe you actually need they need more mental health now that they've lost.
that's
What do
right.
you
Yeah,
think?
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true. It's fun.
yeah.
Yeah, it's something that it's really fun. I'm at the what I do is I run a company called Giant. I'm executive chairman, co-founder of this company, and I've had Giant for a number of years. And we used to own large conferences, a Catalyst and LeaderCast, and John Maxwell's assets, and all types of different things. Sold all those off, and we started from scratch and rebuilding. How do you actually teach in the 21st century? How do you help cynical know-it-all adults? How do you create? So we use visual tools. So that visual tool example right there, because people don't read much anymore. And so we had to create common language and visual tools and give them things that they can actually start working on themselves to get 100% healthy, and then teach them how to multiply it to other people. And so what we do is we have over 850 coaches and consultants who take our content. So I create content. My other business partners, we create content. Steve Cockrum and others in our team, and we create content that is used in some of the largest companies in the world, Google's, Microsoft's, different Pfizer, Biogen, so on and so forth. all of those are designed to help people. So it's giantworldwide.com if you're interested. That's what we do. So we basically have coaches and consultants that use and take this content. But if we go back to the Peace Index in and of itself, what I'm after is I'm just to the point of going, look, our world is in chaos. 2 years of pandemics, inflation, supply chain. You look at what happened recently with Japan yesterday. North Korean missile flies over Japan. China, Taiwan, Russia. I lived in Russia for 2 years. I mean, I get that culture. I mean, I was there with car bombings and mafia and had a client assassinated. I mean, it was rough. And when you experience all of that, you go, there's got to be a level of peace, but there's not going to be world peace until there's inner peace in each one of us. So until each one of us can deal with our own insecurities and our own issues and become mature adults, there will be no world peace. And that's really why I'm like, no, this is time. And Wiley, my publisher, came to me with hey, we really think we need this. Can you write this? We need it this fall. The political unrest, social unrest, all of these things. Can you help write it right now? And so that's really what I've been doing. I've been, I wrote it in 18 days, edited it this summer, and it's out October 4th today. So with the whole goal of giving people a different perspective so that they can begin to be self-aware. And if you're an employer, it's so important that as an employer, you help people know how to become more self-aware. So I think it'd be good to talk about that a little bit more, to talk about employer dynamics.
I want to talk about that because I want people to see this. I just came across this the other day, and Jeremie, I know you're a keynote speaker. I know that companies, they need to fix this. I mean, it seems like companies unfortunately don't sometimes listen unless money's involved. By people being not at peace, that's a $7.8 trillion problem. Can you explain more about how this does affect the bottom line as well?
Yeah, so I will totally. In fact, can you go back to the presentation? There's a slide I want you to pull up, and I want to talk through it. And it basically addresses this very thing. If you're in with team leaders, if you're working, if you'll go to that slide right there, number 6, there we go. Leadership development is almost exclusively focused on the head, when hope is the primary driver for engagement and influence. So the concept of peace is the true driver of performance, because inspired people inspire people. And so because personal peace is taboo, people feel like peace means too flower child or world peace. Feels like it's too personal. But this point, peace affects everything that you and I do every day, which is why it's got to be discussed. Because the idea, and you can stop sharing. Thank you. I just wanted to pull that up. But the idea is that peace actually causes us to be at rest with ourselves and more confident versus scurrying. Scurry is fear-based, and when people are afraid or fearing, they're scurrying to protect their job, or they're just doing enough to stay compliant. But engaged people are secure and confident people. And that's what that $7.8 million problem is that you don't have secure people. They're being affected by the global chaos. They're being affected by local issues, either issues with their kids, because their kids are being affected by global chaos. So all of these factors are bringing our peace level down. And when they get down and down and down and down and down lower, then what that does is that causes a person, an individual, to not be engaged because they're putting up self-preservation walls. They're doing enough to protect themselves. And when they preserve, they're not bringing their best. And when not bringing their best, they start looking for other jobs that maybe pay more or give them more flexibility. So that's what's been happening. So what I'm after is going, no, we have to give employers the tools and the language and the process so that every person can start to become more at peace. They can start noticing what peace really is and dealing with it. And what's great about the Peace Index, if you're a team leader, if you lead people, is it's objective language. So let's say, Kary, that you worked with me, okay? And if I come to you and I go, hey, and you had the day that you shared today, and I go, hey, Kary, how's it going today, man? How are you? What are you gonna say?
Normally I'd be like, hey man, it's fine. I mean, without the tools that you have, I'd be like, oh, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, and what would you ask me?
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Good to see you, man. All right, and so nothing happened. All we're saying is hi. That's really all that is. Hi. Right. And then sometimes if I ask you how you're doing and you're like, not very good, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. I don't want to know. I want to run. With the Peace Index, the language, what's so great about it is it's actually giving people a common language, an objective language, which I can look and go, hey, where's your peace level right now? Where's your Peace Index? And so now if we know what it is as an employer, I can then, here's what it'll feel like. It feels like you're for me if I'm an employee. My boss is for me because I'm not digging. I'm not going, hey, no, really, what's really going on? No, really. I'm going, where are you at? I'll start. My purpose is pretty good. My people, my son is struggling right now, and or my place is off, or personal health. I need to lose some LBs, right? Or provision, whatever it is, I'm going to share maybe one. And so what we're looking for here is we're looking for the lowest one. So let's just play here. And you don't have to give me numbers, Kary, but give me one that's your lowest one.
I would say today, absolutely, this morning was people.
Okay. So now my question to you, if I'm your boss, I'm like, is there anything, like, what can you control? What's controllable and what's not controllable? And you don't have to share with me because it's not a counseling session. Or maybe I know the situation and I go, hey, I'm here to help you. If I can do anything to help you, know that I will. And that alone, what that does is that actually it creates this, it creates a relational trust with the employer to the employee because you're for me and you're showing that you're for me. So what that does is it gives a number, because here's what normally happens. Let's say that people situation is really affecting you and it starts affecting your performance. And then you're not working like you normally work because something's off. So then typically a team leader or a boss will go to another manager or leader in the company and they go, hey, have you guys noticed Kary lately? He's just not performing like you. I don't know. He's just kind of lost it. And it's like, no, actually it's a people situation. And if you help him solve the people situation, or if he knows that you're with him, for him, then he'll work harder for you, with you, because you're supporting him. But if I don't know what the issue is, I might judge you in a way. And so if I judge you, it's unfair judgment. And now I don't know. And in our world, like it or not, 20th century leadership was industrial revolution. It was like, hey, I'm the manager, I'm the boss, do what I say, or you're fired. 21st century, it's these devices they're invasive. So one text message can take our peace level down.
Absolutely.
And so, or social media or news or whatever. So we're impacted more than ever by chaos. So if they know that you're for them by using the Peace Index, then their trust will go up.
So good. I think this is going to help so many people, Jeremie, because you're right. I mean, we're dialed into social media so much. And I mean, I just was. Why? Because I'm cross promoting this on Instagram and I wanted people to see it live, right? But like, we live in a world where we are not just fully present. In fact, there's a term called digiphrenia, which means like, oh my gosh, I exist on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram all at once. That's stress. And you're right. You can be in the best meeting and you get a text that says, my son's Keegan. Keegan just got called to the office. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like, you're right. Your brain is gone and your piece just went.
Yep.
So you can't blow this thing up. You need to give people tools. And that's what whole book, that's what your book's about.
Now, imagine what you just said, Kary, real quick on that. Now, everyone in your world is dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with.
Wow.
So now everyone is going up and down and up and down and up and down. So we affect each other. And it's not just the butterfly effect, it's the everyday effect. It's like, it's just, we are literally bumping against one another.
Wow.
So if one person is off that day and in your, like, let's say your spouse is off, your spouse, the level of peace that she has affects your level of peace. So you can't allow someone, this is where we're going. Maturity means I'm not going to allow someone else's lack of peace affect my level of peace.
Ooh.
So that now becomes
that
becomes an opportunity for us to go, no, we are being affected by levels of peace and other, but a person with iron legs actually can handle someone else's lack of peace. We can handle the chaos that's coming. We can handle, and then it doesn't affect our peace levels by like 20 points. It might affect it by 2 points.
Yeah. I like
so
that.
It's still going to be affected. There's no way you can't be affected by things. But what if it's like not 30 points, 40 points, and it's just mood swings up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been trying to work on. And in a second, when we're ready, I want to share my favorite chapter in the entire book. You ready for it?
Ready for it.
Well, so remember that quote that I used. The Peace Index is designed to help you manage your emotions so others don't have to manage your emotions. I realized, I woke up that I'm emotional. I am a feeler. And with my wife, my spouse, Kelly, she's a thinker. So she's very rational, very logical. She had to deal with my mood swings most of our marriage. And I'd have really high highs and then be really frustrated and go up and down and up and down. So what I have learned to do is I have a process that I go through. I used it today, and I'm just going to be very vulnerable for you all because I know expectations and what they'll do for me. So expectations, when you launch a book, it's like that book is personal to you. This is my soul I'm bearing, and you guys are reading part of my soul. And therefore, if you get the Peace Index, it becomes now something that, and I want you to love it, right? But some people aren't going to like it, or some people are going to doubt me or say something or whatever, or people who said they're going to buy the book don't buy the book, or people who say they're going to get it for their team, they don't, So I've had to manage my expectations. So what I do is I do a morning call-up session. So the first thing I did it this morning, I went and worked out and I reminded myself who I was. I reminded myself my identity, my superpowers. I got into this kind of just rhythm of like, I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not. And then I look for people of peace throughout the day. And I pray for them, actually. I just go, Lord, bring me the people you want me to serve. Keep me away from those you don't. And it's a prayer and it's an idea that I'm looking for people of peace every day. And then when they come and they show up all the time, then I'm just helping that person all day long, or I'm helping that person throughout the day. So then at the end of the day, this is where it really helps manage my emotions at 5:30 every day. So I set my morning with the right expectations. 5:30, I've gone through, my watch goes examine time, and I examine my day. And I go, the first thing I do is I go, what was I thankful for today? What am I grateful for? What were the highlights? And I think, yesterday I had 3 really, really strong highlights. And it was just kind of, sometimes I'll send that person a message. Hey, thank you for that message. But it's just gratitude, right? Then I get into, where was I off today? And so far as it depends on me, I want to be at peace with people. Where was I off? And so I started looking and going, oh my goodness, why was I so frustrated with such and such and such? Why did I get, yeah, oh, I see. And I go back to my own tendency. I'm wanting honor, or I'm wanting them to, and they didn't honor me. So is it their issue or my issue? It's my issue. It's
Wow.
my insecurity. And then I start working on that. And so what happens then by the end of that session,
Mm.
I've dealt with my own emotions. I'm managing my own emotions every single day so that they don't pile up. And in my past, they would pile up and pile up and pile up. And then the straw would break the camel's back. I'd blow up. And my wife was the recipient of me not managing my emotions.
Mm.
And so I've just learned how to manage them on a daily basis. And then I look at my calendar for the next day and make sure I'm prepared, I'm right. I'll even pray over those meetings and get ready. And then at night, I do this last thing called rest in peace, sleep. I put a theme over me. I did it last night. The theme was expect joy. So
Mm.
when I woke up in the morning, I thought, first thing I thought of, expect joy. So then I
That's so
start
cool.
my day all over with the call up session. I do that every day. The reason I'm doing this and saying this is that you have to manage peace. You have to actually
Mm.
manage it before you can master peace.
Oh, that's
Uh,
good.
when you manage peace and you get really good at it, then you begin to learn how to master it, and it now becomes something that you're like, man, I'm really managing these areas in a way so that my peace index doesn't, my negative peace numbers wouldn't affect other people. And that's where I say world peace comes in. We have to manage it ourselves before we can expect the world to manage it.
That's so good. Prior to meeting you, prior to seeing this book, I probably would have said peace is soft. Peace is it's squishy, meaning like it's tough to define. It's soft, meaning like, do I really want to pursue it? I mean, usually, I'm making stereotypes, but usually young young guys back in my day, I would have been like, war,
Yeah.
um, you know, aggression, um, peace, and yet it's biblical, Prince of Peace, and yet we see the result of mental health when you're not at peace, and it's not pretty. So I think this is a very intense topic.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So I'm going to make a big statement here. Peace is power. So peace is power. You have to fight for peace. Fighting,
Mm,
though, means to fight for the highest possible good of those that you lead. That's the true definition of love. Love is to fight for the highest possible good of those that you lead. So fighting for means that actually peace is power. So one of my favorite figures is Dwight Eisenhower. And Dwight Eisenhower was put in a tough situation.
mm,
And he had to actually fight the Nazis and with all the allies. But the idea was to liberate. The deal was the plan was not to conquer Europe. The plan was to liberate Europe. But
mm.
he had to fight to do that. And sometimes you have to fight even within yourself. You have to fight the things that are trying to kill.
Wow.
And that's why, that's why I even like when Jesus talked about, hey, he said, I've come that everyone might have life. And then the second thing he said was, I've come to destroy the works of the enemy. So it's both offense and defense. And so in the
Mm,
case of peace, and this is not this is not a religious book, the Peace Index. It's not. It's really a very practical book, but it does talk about mind, body, and spirit, and so the
yeah.
mental, physical, and spiritual. But when I think about the power of peace, then Dwight Eisenhower, he actually became president of the United States, and you know what? It was the most peaceful 8 years in the history. Um, I think that I think it was literally only one or two deaths in 8 years. Only one or two soldiers died in 8 years. So this power, this
Mm.
unbelievable leader, he fought to bring peace, and they had the most peaceful era after that time. So
Wow.
that to me, that's partly why I like him, because he was liberating. He was actually helping to free people from this oppression of
Yeah.
the Nazis. And so in this case of peace, I mean, I'm talking about personal work. So doing deep personal work, and oftentimes people want other people to fix them. They want well, if I just go here, maybe that'll fix me. Or if I do, and you go, no, actually it goes into, you have to do the work of like, why am I not at peace with people? Well, maybe there's some people, and by the way, and we have a course, a peace index course, and we have in the book, we give an assessment, and I ask really hard questions here, Kary. You have to, there's a people assessment where I take you on a journey of listing people's names.
Ooh.
And like, you can't show anyone this assessment. Like, it's really dangerous. Or your peace level is going to go down and their peace level is going to go down. So what I've done is basically said, look, in the people assessment, you're going to write them and give a number of, how do you feel about Kary, or how do you feel about David, or anyone in your life, and is it going up, sideways, or down? And what's your game plan? Why are you not at peace with that person? And so it actually gives you a practical process for what to do and how to increase your people scores or your place scores or whatever.
Wow. This is so good. So take us through the website a little bit. There's different opportunities. Obviously, there's the book, and I want to encourage everybody to go on Amazon. You have a fantastic audiobook. You have it in Kindle. You have it in hardcover. So I think teams should absolutely get this book. I think it gives them, rather than a check-in of like you said, how's your day going? I mean, imagine if we started our work weeks. Hey, what's everyone's peace index? Take 3 minutes. I mean, I just think that would be amazing. But talk with us about this website. What are we seeing?
Yeah. So you've got obviously an order here, right? And the next section is the peace index. So you take the peace index assessment, as we just talked about. This assessment, what I would encourage you to do is send that out to people. Have them take the peace index assessment. It'll just be really, really great. And so, yeah, you can sign up there and you just simply take it. It's really easy. It's free. I'm not going to harass you for afterwards with tons of emails. It's not.
Right.
And then you can order in bulk. And so for teams, we've had, oh my goodness, I don't know how many books. We've sold thousands of books for teams because the team leader figured out how to do that. And there's certain incentives in there. So if you order 100 books, you can see, you get certain things with it. If you order 1,000 books, you can see we've got DHS right now in one state ordering tons of books for their social workers because they think it's going to be so helpful. So I've got all types of bonuses and things I'll do where I might, come. If you buy X number of book, I'll come and speak live. And so you'll see the bulk buy opportunities. And then if you even wanted to have your own summit, I've filmed this. And if you want your team just to watch it, then you can actually, you can push play and watch me give a keynote to your team. I can do that either through video or I can even do it live, if you want to. But the goal is really spreading the idea of, if we say we want mental health, we have to do something about it. We actually have to go to work on the things that are robbing us of it. And most people don't know how to do it. And so what they do is they just send people to go get counseling or go get help, when it could be as simple as controlling the controllables. It could be as simple as, you need to move. Your place is affecting you, or it's a personal health issue, or it's a provision issue that you need to work on. So those are the things that I'm not afraid to dive into and do. And that's what we're doing. And that's what the link is.
I love it. Let's even talk about, I mean, I don't know how I could run this many companies and be at peace. So you're not just writing about these as theory. I mean, you're literally saying, this is how I survive in my marriage, and not even survive, thrive. And as a dad, talk to us a little bit about these different types of companies. I know you mentioned a few of them.
Yeah. So what I like to do is I like to create organizations that bring impact and income together. So I let the world fund me to influence it. That's the idea. And so everything that I'm doing is trying to. So I've taken this content and this message, inside teams and organizations through Giant. And the way that we do that is we partner with coaches and consultants and trainers, and they become our client. And then we serve companies through Giant worldwide through that. My son and I, we've taken the same concept into the father business, and we're basically helping dads with kids aged 13 through 18. We're helping dads launch their kids really well. It's called sixsummers.com. And it's so fun. But the beauty of this is it's my son leading it. So my son said after he graduated college, he said, "Dad, do you think we could do what you did with me? Could we package that and give it away to other, dads?" And so it's a membership, and it's really inexpensive. It's $350 a year. And we give you everything you need, what conversations to have and experiences to take and trips to plan. And how do you create amazing summers that will actually lead to transformation and deeper relationship with dads to their kids.
Wow.
And then Culture Wins is our sports business, and that we've taken Giant into the sports world. So we work with collegiate athletes, and we're training them on how to handle stress and how to mentally perform, and how coaches can know the personality of their players. And so that's an example. And then the last one is called Billion. It launches here in October. Billion it's a better Squarespace. It's basically a better way. I was tired as an author of building websites and how hard it was. It should have been simple. So we created something that any author, anyone who has any influence, it's basically it's a better mousetrap. It's a better website builder, and it's called Billion, and I'm super excited about it. So those are some examples. We have more than that, but I am an entrepreneur. I'm an encourager. I'm a communicator, and I've basically built businesses around that, and then I've trained and apprentice people to run them. And so I'm not running all of those. I have partners or I have CEOs who do those things, and I just pour into them, and then we partner together to grow. So that's some of the work that I'm doing right now.
This is so good. Let's move into our last 10 or so minutes talking about some fun little things. How do you write a book? In how many days did you write it in?
18 days.
How do you write a book in 18 days?
I know, and I don't have a ghostwriter. I write all my books, and so I write them all. And I partner some of the books. I partner with Steve Cockram, but I still write them. But we write, we conceptualize them together, and some of them I do, some we do together. I may do some others with other people in the future, but I have a system. Number one, you have to live it. And so here's the best way to write a book is you have to have an issue and you have to create a solution to solve it. So once you do that, you're living it. So once you live something, it's easy to write about. And then, so like the Peace Index, we've been teaching it for 8 years. So we have hundreds of stories of the Peace Index and how it's impacting people. I had someone from Lockheed Martin yesterday just tell me how powerful the Peace Index was. We had someone talk about how it affected their life, like they were literally at the end of their life, and the Peace Index saved them. We've had dramatic stories of transformation that's happened just through this one tool, because the tool is a mirror. And we're putting it in front of people going, oh yeah, well, no, we're for you. Do you see it? You can, here's hope. Here's what you can do. And we're increasing people's hope around purpose or personal health. And so it's easy to write those kind of stories. I've got 3 more books behind this one in this deal with Wiley. And the next 3 books, they're all very practical. They're very tangible. So back to, I guess what I'm saying is you have to live it. Okay.
Yes. I like that.
It can't just be a shtick. And a lot of leadership books are just a shtick saying the same thing over and over again of a case study or a story. And so for me, that's one. Second, you have to have a system. So I have a process of writing, and I just didn't realize how strong it was until this book, because I was like, can I write a book in 30 days? And I have, from my playlist of listen to my use of Grammarly, I have an editor who goes back and forth, with Wiley. So what I've done is I've created a system, and then I have a system of literally writing on the outline, and everything's based on that outline. And I do intros and outros and stories, and I'm trying to keep it interesting because of the fickle nature of people. People have to read. So
Yeah.
it's got to be interesting. And then I've got my testers out there that I test with, and I gather the
Sure.
stories from people. And so when you put it all together, then you get into just how fast can you write. And so I can write 3,000 words in a half day, 5,000 words in a full day. So when you start thinking about that, I have to block out time. I have my assistant who's working with me on calendaring and time. And then I have to be motivated. I can block out an entire day, but if I'm not at peace, and so what I do is I can't read other books. I can't get distracted. I can't watch TV. So I miss, lots, and I get as much inspiration as possible
Wow.
because it's got to come out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have people, sending me messages. I'll have little notes. I'll read some things that are inspirational quotes or whatever. But and then the playlist of music that I have, it literally inspires me. So I have to do those things to get just the flow. And then you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, we did that in 18 days.
Wow.
Unreal.
This is so good though. You approach it almost like competition, meaning like it's game time. This is not, hey, I'm going to ease into a book. I'm going to just roll out of bed. I mean, it sounds like you really fortify your brain, you're pumping in music. Weird question, but what do you like fueling your body? Are you hydrating? Are you eating right? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm normally just I do a good job of eating well, and that's the other part. So, and then our place was an important part. So I have a really great location that's inspiring, and it's and sometimes though I'll go. I've written several books, and I have buddies who have great houses in different locations, or I might go to Florida on the beach, or I might write for a week somewhere. So it's that kind of a thing too.
So good.
But I think it's just the idea though is that you can't give what you don't possess. So you can't write
That's a good tip.
You can't really write with authenticity if it's not something that's deep within you. And I was able last night. I had one of the coolest moments with my mom and dad. I took them to dinner, and I dedicated this book to my mom. And it was such an amazing time. And there's tears as I passed her the book and go, this one's for you. And so what was amazing was to see her tears and her joy. But it's real. This is real. And for those of you who need more peace in your life, for those of you who want more hope, there's things you can do. There's a process here. What I'm trying to do, though, is get you to the point where you can understand where you're dissatisfied and why is it happening, and then start breaking down and assessing what can you control and not control so that you don't allow the negative general whine to start affecting other people's levels of peace. So controlling your emotions is ultimately the goal.
I love it. Well, Jeremie, you're doing incredible. I love even the fact it's not about you. I mean, that's one of the things that's really drawn me to you is that you are about other people. And even this peace tour, you're going all over the world. I mean, you've done a lot of books in the past, and you've been a lot of places. You got a lot of endorsements, but at the end of the day, you want to help the world. And I think that to do a book on peace, as I mentioned, I mean, it's so relevant, but it's not sexy. And what I mean by that, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like you and I were chatting the other day, like you're an incredible keynote speaker. And I told you the other day, like, I think businesses are going to listen up when you start dropping the fact that, like, okay, your bottom line is drying up because your people are not at peace. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, whoa. So it's like peace is the vehicle to better marriages, better parenting, more productive people.
Yep.
it's peace is that road. Would you agree?
Totally. And I think if we can start making peace practical versus
Mm,
ethereal, now peace becomes powerful. Peace is power. When your
yes.
people have power, they're empowered.
Ooh,
And
that's
so
good.
when they're empowered, that affects your team, that affects your business.
Yes.
I try to break business down like this real fast. Like organizations are nothing but teams.
Mm,
They're an amalgamation of teams, and each team has a team leader. And dependent on how good a job that team leader does with that team and how much relational trust there is and how much communication there is, depends on how aligned they'll be
mm.
and how much they execute. You get a bad team leader who doesn't seem to care about their team, then that team's going to perform at a lower level. If that team performs at a
Wow.
lower level, it affects this team and this team and this team. It's all correlated. It's cause and effect. When you
Mm,
get the team leaders healthy and
yeah.
the team leaders can learn how to support their people and
Mm,
challenge their people, push them, then you get an amazing team. That's like the University of Oklahoma, unbelievable football coaches. And I'm working with the coach to the coaches to the players. And when that process happens, when you have a healthy position group leader, um, coach, it affects everyone else, just like on a team.
wow.
So what we need our team leaders to get healthy. And that's why I come in. That's why companies hire me to come in and speak to
Mm,
help their team leaders get healthy, because most of them know they need to, but they don't know what to do and how to do it.
yeah. Yep. And I mean, I'll never forget the day that I heard about Columbine. We see when peace doesn't work. I mean, now all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, it's all over the headlines. It's almost like we take peace for granted until we don't have it, right? I mean, would you say that? Like with Russia and Ukraine, like everything's cool and all this, and then oh, the world's not at peace. And you saw it like across the world when that happened. All these companies are, they got to have a statement now about the lack of peace. I think this is powerful. I love what you said. Peace is power. You had one of the best quotes. In fact, people were tweeting it out. I'm gonna try to find this one. This has to be the one, Jeremy. I'm just saying this has to. Your team needs to make this into a. Okay, here it is. Don't let someone else's lack of peace affect your level of peace. That's a good one, my friend.
So my ask is simply this: for if you're
Yeah.
listening, would you spread peace? Would you have iron legs? Would you actually link arms with us to basically get
Mm.
healthy by helping people see where their lack of peace is and do something about it? But using the Peace Index book.com, the
Yeah.
peaceindexbook.com, and take the
Yes.
self-assessment, buy a book, spread the book. We have Bronson, who's our CEO, actually yesterday said, "Hey, I'm doing Peace for Florida." He's bought books and he's asked people to donate just to basically help people in Florida. And it's like, a book's not going to help per se, uh, but the message will help, and
Ooh,
that's
that's good.
ultimately the goal. And so that's the game plan. And so if any of you are interested in buying a book, giving a book, then that would be amazing.
So good. Because you're right. I mean, you walk out in Florida and you see your house underwater, you are not at peace. I don't care what anyone says. And you either have the tools or you freak out. And Jeremy, this was fantastic. I know that
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
really quick, what are some other cities you're going to go to on the peace tour?
Yeah, so I'll be in Alaska in January of all places. So I'll be in Anchorage. I'll be in Wisconsin. I've got Austin coming up. I've got
Mm,
Atlanta coming up.
so good.
Tulsa next. So number of cities. I can't. Canton. I've got a number of cities, but
You got requests, man. You got
yeah,
requests. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's the simple invitation. And usually what happens is a company will invite me to come speak, and then I help people do other events around that.
yeah,
And I maximize my time. And so if you're interested, it's really, really, it's easy. You can
yeah,
find me at jeremiekubicek.com. and you can book a time to talk about coming.
So good. All right, my friend. Thank you. Enjoy your day and tell your
Thank you, sir.
family
Appreciate it.
and thanks. All right. Take care, everybody. Get the book and
Bye-bye.
be at peace. We'll see you.